Hello, this is David from DN Cognitive Counseling. Tonight we're going to talk about step 2. Step 2 says, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves restored us to sanity. If you notice something about that and about the first step as well, it's written in past tense. Have you ever thought about why that's the case? Why is a step written in past tense? The steps are not telling you, if you do this, this could happen. What the steps are saying, this is what we did, and this is what happened. It's chronicling the past and how they did it. It's almost like a map. Somebody tells you, how do you get to this place? These are the streets that I took to get there. This is the path that I took, and that's how you get there. A lot of people like to try to make their own path, and that leads to a lot of trouble and problems in their life. They're sometimes doing things easy, and they're sometimes doing things hard. For some reason, in the name of autonomy, people like to choose the hard way. So we're going to break down the step and hopefully give you a little bit more understanding, and maybe it'll help you to choose something that's going to make a little more sense to yourself. So again, how do you come to believe? Well, the best way to come to believe something is to see it for yourself. If somebody said to you that somebody just won a game and they tell it to you, they could be telling you the truth, or they could be telling you something that's false. But if you saw the game yourself, then you know who won the game because you were there and you witnessed it. So the aspect of when you're in a meeting and you hear somebody that got 5 years, somebody that has 10 years, somebody that got 15 years, you see somebody with 20 years clean, you come to believe that sobriety is possible. You're looking at it. It's right in front of your face. It's not a matter of like, I wonder if this could be done. It's they've done it. And just like they did it, so can I. The next words a lot of people have an issue with, a power greater than self. This is where people get a lot of confusion and a lot of problems. I watched a show with Penn and Teller called BS, if you've ever seen it. And in the show, they asked somebody who was, and I put in quotes, a representative of AA. I don't know the credentials of the person or what they thought, but they said, can your rock be a power greater than yourself? And the person from AA went ahead and said yes. And they start laughing at him and making fun of him. And by the way, they do this a lot on the show to make people and ridicule them for erroneous positions. Father Martin in the 1960s was famous to saying that that's not what a power greater than yourself is. Don't hold something up that is less than human nature to be above it. So the aspect of a rock which has no ability to, has no agency to make a change or to do anything, can't be greater than self. Neither is the trolley. Neither is a bus. Neither is inanimate objects that you're saying, I'm going to hold on to. Now, do people sometimes hold on to an inanimate object as a means? Absolutely. And if it works to get them to that next level, nobody's going to say, don't do that. But if you do it for a long period of time, you're going to be in trouble, and I'm going to explain to you why. Because what does the next word say? Came to believe that a power greater than myself can restore me to sanity. So I'm going to ask you, how does the rock restore you to sanity? How does the trolley restore you to sanity? How does the bus restore you to sanity? The answer is it doesn't. You're utilizing something that's false as a means of Dumbo's magic feather. If you've ever seen the movie Dumbo, Dumbo can't fly, but when he gets the magic feather, automatically he believes in himself and believes in his ability to fly. He loses it, he thinks he can't do it anymore. And Jiminy Cricket's screaming in his ear, it was not true, it wasn't true, the feather didn't do anything. And it's a very similar concept with the rock, and or anything else you use that is not going to restore you to sanity, but you're using as a false image and is not helpful. So when you're working step 2 and you come to believe that a power greater than self can restore you to sanity, then the power has to be greater than self. Now, what does that mean? And how do you work that? Well, everybody works this every single day, all the time. Your car, you're driving along, and all of a sudden, okay, something happens, and now your car's not working. You look under the hood, and you sit there, and you're fiddling around, and you can't figure it out. You didn't go, oh well, let me get rid of the car. You do something. You call up AAA. You call a mechanic. You call for help. A power greater than yourself that restores you to sanity. You have a stomach pain. You're in tremendous pain. You don't go, oh my God, I took the Pepto-Bismol, I took this, I took that didn't work. I might as well just sit here in pain. You get a doctor, a nurse practitioner. A power greater than yourself that restores you to sanity. You do this naturally in your life with plumbers, electricians, mechanics. You do this constantly. You're constantly working step 2 in so many areas of your life, except when it comes to addiction. When it comes to addiction, basically, if I can't figure it out, I'm not doing anything about this. I'm just going to let it be. And you stay in the same cycle. So in the second step, after you see that a power greater than yourself can restore you to sanity, you start utilizing it for knowledge and information. And that's why it's important to know where you're getting your knowledge and information from. Is your knowledge and information accurate? I've heard a lot of people through the years say, I don't like AA or NA because there was this guy there or this woman there, and they told me this, and it was bull. And I know it was bull. So I'm not going back there again. And that's the problem. They're utilizing a means to say, I found somebody that I don't like, some information that they gave me, where I can utilize it as a means to separate myself from a power greater than possibly myself. Now, that person wasn't part of your power greater than yourself, which is the reason they do have a slogan in AA that I really love. If it don't apply, let it fly. In other words, just because you're at a meeting and one person says something foolish does not negate all the other parts of the meeting that might have been good. The question is, was there anything in there that actually did help? You'll always be able to find things that didn't. When you're looking for it, always be able to find it. But the same can be true of doctors. I'm never seeing a doctor again. I went to a doctor and he messed me up or he gave me a medication that didn't work. So you'll never go back to a doctor ever again? Because that's the same type of logic. How many of us have been looked over by a mechanic? I'm never bringing my car to a mechanic again. I got rooked by this mechanic. So it's the same type of logic, but we lose sight of it because we don't like it, and we find excuses to push it away. So the aspect is a power greater than yourself restoring you to sanity. You know, it's very funny. They used to say, those who can't do, teach. And I have to tell you, that is probably the worst statement that has ever been made, and it's also an untrue one. It's those who don't do well, teach poorly. And that is a statement of fact. It's those who can do generally teach better. When you want to learn mixed martial arts, do you want to go and learn from somebody who's been a champion? Or do you want to be learning from somebody who's never won a fight in their entire life? Would you say, that's the one I want to learn from? The one that can't win, has never won. Now, it is true sometimes people don't have the physical capability, but they do have the knowledge. But the knowledge came from a place that actually works. And when you put that physical capability with the knowledge, it works beautifully. So you can have a system like that, where the coach can help you, but the coach has to do it and know it well. But if you have a poor coach that doesn't know it well, how good are the students going to be? Think about the idea that what bad teachers create is generally bad students. I'll give you an example if that happened many years ago when I was in high school. We were doing social studies, and the teacher spoke about the Great Wall of Japan. And there was a very intelligent young man in my class who raised his hand and with half smiling as he said it, said, "Does the wall go around the entire island or through it?" Now, he was making fun of the fact that the teacher didn't even recognize the mistake that he made. When you don't recognize something, and there are bad teachers everywhere, and it has an effect, which is the reason why when you're picking a sponsor, a power greater than yourself in that area, you want somebody who has a greater knowledge of understanding, somebody who's going to be able to instill something inside of you and help you. I say to a lot of people I work with, the way you pick a sponsor is you choose somebody, not they choose you, you choose somebody that they have what you want. They understand something a certain way, they're able to deal with things a certain way, and you want that. That would be somebody who could teach you something and help you to get someplace. A power greater than yourself that can restore you to sanity. Also, utilizing the power of the group in a AA meeting is also a way to help you with that. We is stronger than I. And the power of a group is stronger than an individual. Because that member of the group is also part of the group. So you not only have that part, you have all the other parts that give you the ability to strengthen it. The more you understand about working the step, and the more you utilize knowledge and information, the better it puts you in a position to draw things in your life in a more productive way. See, before, every time we got upset, every time we dealt with emotions, we get the efforts, and the next thing we know, we're getting high. And that was the famous words. F this, I'm out of here. And what was that about? It was my emotional state. You got me angry. You got me upset. I have, emotional feelings I don't want to deal with. And it could be positive emotional feelings or negative emotional feelings. But remember, all addictions are always trying to change a mental state, an uncomfortable mental state that we can't tolerate. So what do? Well, we have choices. We could do what we've always done. We can go back into our bag of tricks about how we handled those states before. Or we can utilize a power greater than ourselves that can restore us to sanity in a different way than I've done before. It's sort of like a person that gets a financial advisor. And you say, well, for some reason, I just don't make any money. I don't make any money. So you go to a financial advisor. Why? Because you want to set up a system that's going to help you to make more money than you would have by yourself. Because if you could do it better by yourself, you wouldn't need the advisor. And if you're doing better than the advisor, then you don't have a power greater than yourself. And it's that mindset and concept that you work the step very easily. And that's why they say, keep it simple. These are not difficult steps in theory to work. They're difficult in practice to work. It's about picking people in your life that are powers greater than yourself. And the more you have of them, the more support you get around yourself, the more you set yourself up for success. If you wanted to become wealthy, would you be better off surrounded by a bunch of people who are wealthy and teaching you and mentoring you? Or would you rather have a bunch of people who've not been wealthy to mentor you and to teach you? Which one is probably going to be more successful? On the show Shark Tank, one of the things I love the most is when they say to some young entrepreneur that what I'm going to do is mentor you. And that's, by the way, that mentorship is worth more than any amount of money they give them. Because their knowledge and insight is going to be much greater of value to that young person than all that money that they gave, that if you got and you have no idea what you're going to do, you're going to end up wasting it or causing more problems. And that's what we're trying to avoid. I used to ask this question a lot of times, and it'd be very fun to get this answer. I say, is it better to learn from your experience or somebody else's experience? And it's funny because people say, oh, it's much better to learn from your own experience. And then I'd say, really? So you have to jump off a building, slam on the floor and die in order to learn that's not a good idea. Or arsenic. You don't want to take arsenic. Why? Because I drank it already and I killed me. Or I lost $1 million by playing with penny stocks. These would not be good ways to learn. But this is the way that people feel like they need to learn. I need to put myself in order for the worst possible situations to be able to learn something, as opposed to, wow, look what you just did. I don't want to do that. The better way to learn is from somebody else's experience. Where do doctors learn how to become doctors from? Do they do trial and error? Come on in, I'm learning to be a doctor. I've never done this before, but I'm going to try this. And then I'll learn from that way. I don't think that anybody here in the entire YouTube, I think it's going to be one thing everybody would agree with, that anybody would ever go to a doctor that's never worked with anybody before, have no knowledge, and just saying, well, I'm just going to try things. Not a good idea. The nature of doctors, they learn from other doctors. Now, they learn from a teacher that's a doctor, but they learn from other doctors. Lawyers learn to be lawyers from other lawyers. Accountants learn to be accountants from other accountants. Mechanics learn to be mechanics from other accountants. Drug addicts learn to be drug addicts from other drug addicts. It was also taught. We didn't realize we were learning, but we learned. And some of us got really good at it. And you'll notice that the same ideas that permeate addiction are across the board. And it doesn't matter what the addiction is to. That's why NA, AA, SA, MA, all the A's have the same steps of recovery because they're dealing with the same things. I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope it gives you greater insight into the step. I hope that if you like this video, you'll hit like. If you didn't like anything or you didn't understand something, please feel free to comment or ask a question. And if you haven't subscribed, hit subscribe. And if you become a patron to this channel, be very happy. The Subscribe-star button is behind. And have a good night and good mental health.